Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. I am Maria.
I'm Ginger.
Hello, welcome back. We are here again. We have a whole fucking movie to talk about this week. Before that, is there anything you would like to say about what you have been up to in this past week or so?
No, not really. I'm still mostly just on that new seasonal anime grind,
Yeah, watching all the isekai.
watching all the isekai.
Or at least most of them. I don't know if you go for literally everyone. But
I I try to hit play on at least all of them.
I know you. There was at least one you only made it about halfway through because I was there, and it did
Hmm.
not seem very good.
Yeah. I mean, I usually on my own I can make it through those
Mm-hmm.
those shows. Like I would just finish it anyway.
Uh huh.
But like the energy in a call is so much different. Like
Right. It is
you just process so much more vividly when you're like actively engaging with it and another person.
uh huh. Yeah, that makes sense, right? There's it's easy to just fucking start fidgeting with something and tune it out completely.
Hmm.
Or did I say it was easier to? Whatever. You understand what I mean.
Yeah,
Um.
and now everybody else does.
Yeah, I've been watching stuff also. I do not really have I feel like I don't have a thing where I'm yeah, here's the thing I want to give a take on, right? I'm just kind of still feeling things out. I've been watching anime still this season though, which is a little bit of a change. Mostly this is because I have people to watch anime with, but
Hmm.
it does not hurt. I don't know. I don't really have anything else I want to talk about, right? It has been a week. Um, I mean, there's been less than a week, sort of. It feels like just because of the weird circumstances of your power dying in the middle of the recording
Oh
last time.
yeah,
So it has technically been fucking 5 days since the last time we recorded or whatever, which probably adds to the weird feeling of
oh yeah.
I don't know. Regardless,
Naruto.
Naruto's new movie that he made for us.
Naruto made us a brand new movie.
He really should not have.
Yeah, this one's about rocks instead of movies. Before we talk too much about it, do you wanna? I mean, do you think we should go ahead and get on into the summary? Naruto the Movie, Legend of the Stone of Gelel. Oh no, a bunch of big armor mace zombie guys are attacking some sand shinobi. Good thing Gar and Conquer are there to help. The mace guys retreat into the ocean, and the sand shinobi chase after them, only to find a huge steampunk ship firing its cannons back at them. In the Land of Fire somewhere, Naruto and Sakura and Shikamaru are tracking down a lost ferret. They capture the little guy, but run into the same big mace guys as before. They fight them off when a regular sized night guy shows up to fight Naruto. Naruto makes a bunch of clones, but the night guy has wind magic in his sword, and they clash with their big attacks and both fall into a chasm. Sakura and Shikamaru see the huge steampunk ship they rode in on.
Okay, all right. So that was the first 15 minutes or so of the movie, right? But before we get too deep into that, I'm going to give a brief overview of the staff. So yeah, this movie is directed by Hirosuke Kawasaki. Who is primarily a theatrical animator and director, right? He has animation credits dating back to Laputa and Akira. And he directed the Spriggan movie from the '90s. He directed this movie, and there's one movie he made after this that I know very little about, but has a bunch of shared animators or whatever. Again, I not the most in depth overview that I can give into this guy. Just because it was a lot of yeah, okay, I see some of the big things he has worked on. I have not seen a lot of them, or I do not know what specifically his contribution to those was. So I am just going to I just kind of left it there, I guess. But as usual, character designs for this movie were handled by Tetsuya Nishio, who is also the one of the main character designers on the series. The lead on animation direction is done by him and Tatsuya Tomaru, who is an animator who was also present on the last movie but has moved up to this role here. Another guy with a long history of largely theatrically focused animation. But yeah, I guess we should get into the actual things that happen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they
the knights go to war.
the knights are here. They're doing war. Yeah, we have our very strong here's the identity of this movie. There are fucking knights in it, and they're fighting ninjas, and it is badass when a knight fights a ninja, probably. right? I mean, I think a lot of this like initial scene is not like, like the very like opening up is like not that like, it is like technically impressive as we have a lot of like, very like complex layered shots of like here's all the knights and the ninjas fighting, but like I feel like it takes like a little bit into it to like really like get it to have that much of a sense of like clearly readable direction, right? But, like, we get there. It is like pretty fun. There's like a sudden leap once like it switched to being Hidetsugu Ito's work, right? Where like suddenly like suddenly there's like sudden like sharp and like how like intentional and like readable the action is, right? Like, we go from like again impressive cuts of all the fucking like knights and ninjas like milling about and like fighting each other to like this really like snappy bit where like, there's like a one-on-one bit of like a knight fighting ninja and he's like getting like fucking smacked in the face with a big mace handle and shit, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a really like sharp like increase in like okay, things are happening now, right? I found that like really striking how like the movie could go for places like, yeah, okay, like this is proficient to like, oh, this is like kind of exciting, right? Like, there's just like some cool shit happening, right? Like, they've got like another like ninja guy like jumping in like fucking slamming a sword into the shoulder of the big knight guy, and he is like basically unfazed, right? And like, oh shit, something is wrong with these guys, right? It starts to like really like sell the like the particulars of the scene like a fairly fun way, right? And it eventually scales up to be like, hey, we have guys we actually recognize in this scene, right? Fucking Kankuro and Gara are here. I mean, Kankuro shows up first, right? Like one of the guys that gets like thrown around is actually Kankuro's puppet, and he like just fucking pulls a big night guy into like fucking black and it just like gets minced.
Yeah.
Like that guy puppet is like so much smaller than the big night guy, but it does not fucking matter. Shit goes in there and does not come out. That is really the fucking like philosophy of that specific puppet in this movie, which like does not come up much, but like,
it's so good.
It is pretty good.
I gotta say,
mm-hmm.
not impressed with the night guys here.
No, the night guys never really seem like they are like particularly capable, right?
Yeah. Or good or cool, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like there is a scene like later in this movie where Shikamaru is like, yeah, these night guys are so easy to beat up, so like like
right, like, okay, like I get having like a new jobber to fucking like beat up, right? Because it's always fun in big fights to have like a bunch of guys that you're beating up.
Yeah, and I also get the like sense of like, oh yeah, they can like take a big hit, but they just keep fucking going, right? But it is like, yeah, as soon as they come into contact with any guy who has like a name and a face that we know, it is like, it is fucking over for these dudes.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not even that necessarily, right? It's that they look bad. It's that they look dumb. They're silly. They're goofy, big stumping around guys with a fucking ball mace.
Yeah, the size of huge fucking ball mace. They've got their like they got like snouts, kind of.
Yeah,
I think they are a little bit cute, honestly, but.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, like mostly I have a problem with the big stupid ball mace, but like,
okay, all right, that is the part that offends your sensibilities.
But it makes the rest of them look stupid too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely like a sense in this movie of like, oh, the villains do not really know about like fighting ninjas, so I guess they're like big night guys that they seem to be used to just like sending into places, having them fuck everything up, or like getting kind of they're getting kind of cleaned out, right? All the no-name like sand guys are like they're having trouble, but Gar shows up and he just immediately fucking bunches them. Yeah, he just bunches them up and like fucking squishes them flat. There's like a really fun bit of like, just like this really like fun like snappy like alternating between like two different background paintings, like all the sand fucking like flat, and then it just goes like boom, like makes a big crater.
Yeah.
I don't know if that noise is good into the microphone, but like it is.
It will be fine.
It will be fine. Yeah, a little bit sad that Tamari does not get to be involved.
Yeah, where the fuck was she?
I do not know.
She's off doing fucking girl stuff, I guess.
Yeah. But so the tide has been turned. All of the like no name like sand ninjas are like emboldened to like go off in their tiny shitty little boats that they'll like to like investigate the ocean the nights are coming out of, and it's like. And then like Conqueror's like, hey, wait, do not run off in your like tiny shitty little boats in the middle of the night. That is dangerous. And we see the big fuck off ship, right? I think this is like kind of the second movie in a row where we have like, oh, here are the villains who have their like big like super strong vehicles. I'm curious how much of like a recurring like thing that is going to be throughout the movies, right? Because
I want the fucking Mad Max Naruto movie.
fuck yes. I remember there being like a bunch of cars in the third one, but I do not know if there are like car-based fight scenes.
If we're just like making up places for Naruto movies to go, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think like a huge cool post-apocalypse with like cars and shit would be fucking badass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess like if you're just going to get like the movie guys to like come in here, like maybe they don't have like the strongest attachment to like Naruto specifically, but they will be like, hey, it would be cool if I put a big fucking machine in this movie, and
Yeah.
broadly speaking, I guess they are right. It is fun when they like illuminate over the ocean and see the big ship, and it is like oh shit, it has cannons firing, and like we don't really like think about what happens after that until later in the movie. Um, and we find out that it's not particularly impressive. But that is not important right now. What is important is that our friends Naruto and Sakura and Shikamaru, right? They are having like a classic like the guys need to be doing something at the start of the story, like go find an animal mission.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they're too old to be being sent on those missions, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean maybe this is like a bigger deal one. They had to go like really far out of the village for it. They had to go like
maybe. I mean, it makes like they did have to leave the village.
right, like they had to go off to like some undefined location, maybe in the like probably in Landfire, broadly, right?
Yeah.
Like it definitely feels like very stock. I mean, I guess the animal they are finding is like important to the plot of the movie. So like they've done a little bit to integrate it, but like like when I was like sitting down to watch this, I was like watching Naruto go on like the funny animal finding mission, and he is getting kind of owned by the animal. I was a little concerned like how much does this like movie have like a particular understanding of like what makes Naruto as a character fun, because it is very like in those first few minutes it feels very like oh, you could have watched the first few episodes and then just been like, okay, I get it. He is like a dumb guy, and then moved on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I think it like if there's anything I can say for this movie, I think that like for at least parts of it that like that is not true. For at least parts of it, like there's a pretty like strong sense of like, hey, Naruto is like a fun guy to have in scenes. That is like but
yeah, absolutely.
Initially I was a little worried, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like a pretty fun sequence where like the little ferret they're looking for is like like walking past all of these different like elaborate traps that are like drawn on like the cell layer, so you do not know what it specifically is going to like interact with until he just like winds up running into like the very basic like here is a box like propped up under a stick thing. I think that is kind of like a cute touch, but they get the animal. They're going to go to the village. We're supposed to drop it off, and like all along the way they see some shit they feel like they have to investigate. Like while they're on the way out of like we got the animal part. Like there's a scene by an animator named Nobutoshi Ogura that I really like, where everything just gets like a lot like looser and sillier. We have just like some really like fun like kind of goofy walk cycles. There's just like just like a pretty solid sense of like comedic pacing, which like elevates some fairly rote jokes. Nobutoshi Ogura is like an animator who like like has a career going all over the place, right? A lot of early credits back on like the Goldfish Warning through like Sailor Moon, like pipeline of like Toei production stuff. Moving into a lot of like Gainax and like Gonzo and production IG stuff in like the early 2000s, and then like more recently he's been working on a lot of like trigger shows. But like, I think there's like a lineage of like really fun like snappy like comedic animation that like kind of this kind of calls on that I found like very charming, right? Like there's like there's like a bit like where like Sakura just like she is doing her like punching Naruto for saying something kind of dumb bit, and like it again like very stock, but like the way that Naruto just like fucking plummets out of the frame and is like his headband kind of like floats up and drops after a minute. It's like it is just like it's just nicely executed enough in a way enough to make the like fairly raw material like feel like it is worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they like see like smoke ominously rising from like the village they're supposed to go to. They're going to like go investigate or whatever. And before they get there, they're attacked by knights. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Yeah, I mean, we get like a little bit of like, hey, everybody gets to show off a little here in this like early action scene thing. Sakura is like back to being like a knives and explosions girl a little bit, like she was in the previous movie. she just like blows one of these guys the fuck up with like a single paper tag.
Yeah, badass.
Badass. Like there's just nothing left of that guy but his big stupid ball mace. Like a little bit, like a little, like a few like chunks of debris that go fluttering down. And like I think a lot of the particulars of like this like action here also are like really fun, right? Like you have like I mean we talk about Sakura's knife tricks. We have like Naruto like doing one of like the fucking best looking Uzumaki barrages ever, where there's just like this you know like these kind of like whirling, like vaguely disorienting camera movements to like heighten the sense of like, oh yeah, this fucking like child is coming at this big knife from all angles and he's kicking into the sky, and there's like this fun sense of like, you know, when Naruto's doing his punches is like denting the armor before the guy just gets like fucking cratered into the ground and has his like limbs like flayed out in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just like sold really well. Like this scene is Masahiro Sato. The like biggest like through line I have in terms of like his career is that he works a lot with like Masahiro Ando, who is like an who's like a director who's like pretty renowned for like his action stuff. You know, he directed the Sword of the Stranger movie. He did like Sirius the Jaeger a few years back, and like Masahiro Sato was like an action director on that. You know, like so he seems to be like one of the like, you know, more renowned like action directors in the industry. Like one of his go-to guys. I can kind of see why. Like the scene is like really fun, right?
Yeah.
There are a few times in the scene where I am like, hey, there's like a creature in that backpack Naruto is wearing. Watch, right? He gets like fucking like slammed into the ground while wearing it.
Yeah.
But,
I was worried about the animal so much.
They basically just do not acknowledge the animal until it is time to acknowledge the animal again. Do not worry about all of these things.
The animal's fine. The animal's okay.
Like there's a bit like a little later where like Naruto's about to be caught in a big explosion and they have to like beg like go flying off his back earlier so the animal's not caught in the explosion, but it also like falls off a cliff. So like
yeah, don't worry about it.
The awareness of how much the like creature is there is like kind of wavering throughout this scene. And they beat up the big night guys to give us our basic sense of like, yeah, here's our guys in this movie. They here are the cool things they can do, you know. And they meet our fucking new mystery boy for this movie. He's like a normal kind of shitty looking night boy.
Yeah, he's just sort of a normal night guy.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that I think there are a few things like his introduction here that are like kind of fun, right? I love like, you know, when he's like I think they sell the sort of like shithead confidence that he has here in the scene for like, you know, like in the way he's like, you know, he like meets Naruto and he does this fucking dramatic like thumbs down thing at him, and he does not have like a fucking like guys he's ordering to attack Naruto in that moment. He's just being like a dick. He like, you know, he like kicks a bunch of Naruto clones away from him and they like lands and does like a little fucking twirl on the ground.
Yeah.
Like he seems pretty fun in these moments.
Yeah, this first interaction with him was like really fun because for a little while, like even into like not for a while more, but like he doesn't say anything except for his big attack name, which is in English, and I thought there was going to be a fun language thing going on, but there's not a fun language thing going on.
No, it's just that like sometimes some of the night guys have like English attack names to like separate them from like ninjutsu because they do not know what that is.
Yeah, no, I was just excited because that was the only thing he says for the first like 30 minutes he's on screen almost.
But yeah, like they play it like pretty close to their chest with him and just have him be like kind of like, you know, like you know, like expressive is maybe not the word because he's very stiff in his like I guess that is a way of being expressive, right? Like he's just like very stiff in his movements, but like a little bit of like a, you know, he's like a little bit like show off sometimes, right? It is you know, when they do not have like his dialogue to work with, I think he like comes through really clearly, honestly.
Yeah. When he starts talking,
you know, we will get into it.
Like it's not his fault the movie gets worse, right?
No, I think that like that if I was going to like place the movie getting bad on like one character, it would be like, you know, we will talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like the other thing I want to say, like in the scene of like, you know, Naruto is encountering like the like night boys, like there's one where like Sakura gets captured and then like you know the camera kind of like drifts off focus of like the big night guy that grabbed her, and And then like the next time we see it, like we learn like, oh, Shikamaru has like shadow possession, grabbed it and like made it like try to like attack the Night Boy with its big base. Well, like, Shikamaru comes across really well in this movie, like on the sheer basis of just being the guy who's like lurking around the edges of the scene to like surprise somebody with his jutsu. Like the one weird trick to make Shikamaru work is just have him be like off screen until like it is time for him to reveal he was doing some shit.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's honestly perfect. Like, real Naruto should do that way more.
Honestly, yeah, like it is really fun. Like basically every time it happens, like Shikamaru is like pretty fun in this movie. I have to say, like part of this, he doesn't do any of his women hating stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't talk that much, which is good. Like most of his dialogue is like interrogating a guy, right?
Which is like, maybe disappointing if you are like one of the Shikamaru fans that wants to see him feel like a misogynist all the time or whatever. Or like, yeah, but like, I think like genuinely him being like the kind of like quiet guy who is like, maybe a little put upon by being here and like has his like fun tricks that he can do like while the spotlight is not on him is like, it works really well.
Yeah, it works like it's like honestly perfect.
But yeah, Naruto and the Night Boy have like a big like clash, and there's a big explosion. They fall off a cliff, thereby like signposting him as like a sort of rival, a sort of like replacement Sasuke for the duration of the film. You need like a cool boy for Naruto to be clashing with. So you need to have a guy who can like try and like go against Rasengan, and then I mean that is basically what I have to say about this part of the movie. If we want to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Naruto wakes up after being taken care of by a group of nomads. Luckily, they're the guys who want the ferret back, and unluckily, the night guy is also being taken care of by these same guys. Sakura and Shikamaru scout out the weird steampunk guys, and we see a flashback of the night dude as a kid hiding in a ruined house getting ransacked. Naruto hangs out with the caravan some more and gets the story about their homeland. Naruto hangs out with the caravan some more and gets a story about how their homeland was destroyed in ancient times, and they've been nomads ever since. Naruto goes to bitch at the night guy, but he just deflects and says he's here to build a utopia, and wants to show his boss Naruto because this is his first time ever seeing someone use chakra. Naruto isn't cooperating, so night guy just gets his stuff to leave, but on the way out, he saves a kid from falling out of a tree. Shikamaru breaks into the steampunk ship, and finds a bunch of kids in tubes in a machine that pumps out biofreak mace guys.
So I think, like, again, like, we have alluded broadly to, like, not feeling that positively about this movie, but I think it is, like, still working pretty well through, like, most of this part, right? Like, I think that Naruto being, like, with the group of nomads is, like, I don't know, like, I think a lot of those scenes, like, work pretty well. The old man that's there when he wakes up and, like, is, like, kind of, like, being like a little bit of an exposition vehicle for the plot is like I feel like he is like like I feel like a lot of his scenes with Naruto are actually like pretty fun like in this first part just because like I don't know like him being like this kind of like Naruto having this kind of like goofy old man who is like basically I just think the old man here I think his name is Kahiko like he winds up being pretty fun for Naruto to bounce off of just in terms of like I don't know like here's this old man who's like in this ostensibly like dignified leadership position but like he will like lower himself to Naruto's like position to like goof around a little bit and like tease him and it is like it like while Naruto's like also bouncing off the fucking Night Boy who is like this very like stiff serious guy right like it creates like a sort of like fun like I don't know, like in these scenes, like the dynamic with like the movie original characters, like winds up like working pretty well to me. I think it is just like it is carried by a lot of like character animation and stuff. But like I was like surprised how much fun I was having with a lot of these scenes.
Yeah,
like it is fun when like Naruto is like like you just kind of like alternate between like being kind of pissed that the fucking Night Boy is here and like wanting to like be kind of like a cool show off for the people that he like was here to like help find their ferret or whatever right where when he's like bragging about how fast he heals and fucking the old man is like yeah actually the Night Boy is like healing pretty fast too and he gets like kind of sulky about it like it is just good stuff like surprisingly. We get the Night Boy's like flashback stuff. Should we just call him by like say his name? Like I know it does not come up for a while in the movie.
Yeah,
but, like I was thinking of saying Night Boy.
Yeah.
His name is Temujin. And like we get his like flashback of like oh shit like he is in like a ruined village like there's like really like dramatic stylized use of color, it just kind of like a lot of like it's sort of like unclear, like disorienting framing, and then like he has this vision of like a big pope who like was nice to him. That and when I saw this, I was like, okay. I mean, like I get what is going on here. I'm I feel like this is a scene that like basically tells you everything you need to know about this character's backstory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like basically everything is here. And I was like, wow, that this is like fairly efficient. I sure hope we don't go back to this multiple times over the course of the movie.
Yay!
Because like yeah, you have what you need, right? Like to talk about the broad structure of the movie, right? Like there's the fucking Pope man that he sees in this vision here, his last flashback here, right? And like he believes in that guy, but actually that guy was evil, and like he betrayed like his village, and like if you know like the design elements of that guy, you can like see like glimpses of him in terms of like the like mysterious, scary guy that Temujin is hiding from in his flashback, right? It is like
Mm-hmm.
again, like it gets everything across, and it's not like super complicated, but like it works, right? Like I'm still like having like a more or less good time. The other thing I want to say about like the sorry, I'm like ping ponging around a little bit, but the other thing I want to say about like the Nomad guys is I really love their like pink ostriches and their domesticated rhinos and stuff.
Yeah, I love how they're animals.
The animals are fun. Like I don't have like a ton more to say about that, but like it is just like yeah, here's like a they just put fun visuals in here sometimes, and that's what more could you want from the big Naruto movie? Just seeing some stuff that is fun to look at.
Yeah, they're writing some like big gazelle things too, right? And they
Oh
had
yeah,
like
yeah.
the rapping at the end of their horns to not poke anybody, and I thought that detail was cute.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, there's there's a bunch of little stuff to like make this like setting that Naruto's in briefly like feel like pretty like visually realized. But yeah, like, we move forward to like the next day. Naruto and like Temujin and like everybody like they're on the move with like the nomads like caravan, right? Um, they're just kind of like moving through the environment towards their next goal. Fucking Kahiko is like giving a little more exposition, right? And this is one of those moments where, like I feel like the cracks are like vaguely starting to show because like he is talking about like the like he's talking about like the the history of this nomadic group and how like oh yeah we used to have like a like a country, but it was destroyed, and like some of us went away across the sea. Like you can just see like all of like all of the shape that this movie's plot is going to take, and like all of the ways that it's going to be like kind of dumb, like sort of like spreading out in front of you, but like it is trying to like hold things together a little bit in this moment. I think there's a lot of like fun stuff, like the way that Naruto is hearing about this, and he's kind of like incredulous about it, and he's just kind of like okay, well, fucking whatever, old man, like you're just fucking with me. That ferret is not older than you. That is not real.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just see that like the fucking like shape of like oh yeah these guys have like a fucking like ancient divine royal bloodline or whatever that's going to be important to this movie like in the absence of like what is like not being said about the past like form. I feel like right like it is
Mm-hmm.
like it at no point feels like oh this movie is not going to be like kind of a mess, but like again this scene at least is like fairly fun.
Yeah.
Like Naruto is like going to like go and talk to the fucking like mystery boy a little more, right? Like goes to talk to Temujin, and like Temujin has this thing like, oh shit, I've like, what is that power you have before? I've like never seen chakra before, which like,
Okay.
I feel like raises some questions for me, right?
Yeah.
So what was your like okay about?
I just don't think that works. I just
Right. No, it is like a weird thing to establish about the world. It's like, okay, do people like only have chakra over here? Like, what is like what like? I just feel like when you're like making up stuff about the world of Naruto, it is like weird to establish that like oh yeah the parts of the world where like Naruto takes place like has a bunch of like fucking super beings and like everybody else is just
normal.
like it puts this weird level of like the guys in Naruto are like now like fantasy race guys with chakra.
Right. Like it makes them the like weird monks from across the ocean, right? Like
Yeah, I do not like I just do not understand why like that is like
right and establishing that like oh there's other fantastical stuff in the setting, right? Like
mm-hmm.
like this, like, the Stone of Gelel or whatever is like a magic rock that gives you magic powers, and it's notably not chakra, apparently.
Hmm. Right. Okay. Yeah. It is notably not chakra, but also the other thing is like it is also not really like from somewhere else.
Right.
Because like the reason I'm fucking getting ahead of ourselves. But the reason the villains are here is they're looking for the big fucking like vein where all the fucking like Stone of Galel comes from, right?
Yeah.
So like it is just weird. Like yeah, here's the big continent where all the fucking like magic shit happens, and everybody else is just like being fucking normal and like making steampunk shit. Like, well, that's not normal, but like it's just like I just feel like if you're going to like, oh yeah, here over here is like Night World. The Knights should also have like fucking like
Like they can call it something different.
right, but they should still have like fucking like essentially like night jutsus and shit, right?
Yeah,
Like
it would be cool. Well, because like I mean, obviously we don't know yet, but like like samurais are a thing that it's like people who use chakra in ways that ninjas don't, right? Like
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it would be a lot of fun if like we introduced like someone like another culture from like far away that was just like, okay, and like here's how they do it, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if like Naruto like talked about using chakra and fucking temperature, was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is called like I do not know what the fucking night.
well, I mean they would call it mana, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, oh, you mean mana?
Right, yeah.
Or,
Like, it
or
is.
we get their diagram and it's like similarly like like a system of it like flowing throughout the body, but like the iconography of all of it is like way different. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. It would be like again. It would introduce way less friction than like the specific like the weird way this movie goes about it. I'm like thinking about this. And I'm trying not to like spiral off into like broader discussions about like stuff about the movie we have not talked about yet in terms of like the like whole thematic shape of it. But
Yeah.
like I guess like hopefully like I want to like put a pin in this like hopefully come back to it or like maybe we just talk about it now. I'm not sure, right?
We can
Like
just talk about it now. Who gives a
okay,
fuck?
right? Like because like the whole fucking thing is like oh yeah the villains want the like the fucking like Stone of Galel because there's this big power that can like do like fucking anything or whatever, right? Kind of vaguely defined. And so like for the construction of like the villain's goal of like trying to like fucking gather all of this up so they can like fucking control the world and like keep, like it is weird to make a movie about like the big like mysterious like superhuman power that like needs to be like sealed away and like maybe destroyed because it is like too powerful for everybody to have in the setting where like also like in this movie where like like in the setting where like broadly like a bunch of guys just normally have like super strong magical powers that can do fucking whatever. And also this movie is like establishing that like but also people in the rest of the world that like Naruto doesn't take place in don't have that.
Why don't they just have it too?
I do not know. I'm not sure how much sense I am making, but like it's just like it is weird to make a movie that's ultimately going to be about like oh we have to like seal away this dangerous power so nobody can have it when a lot of guys just have like a separate dangerous power that seems to be like equivalent in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Also, I figured out the like the alternate chakra system for the knights.
Uh-huh.
I figured out how mana works.
Okay, how does it
Um,
work?
uh, so their thing is that they're like focused on like martial combat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like obviously they experience the ways in which chakra just kind of naturally makes you better at that kind of thing. Makes you able to be like stronger and like normal stuff, normal body chakra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the other big thing that chakra does in their tradition is they don't have like individual spells or like things that they do necessarily, but what they
Mm-hmm.
do have is magic items that they can use chakra on to like activate an effect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like that specific bit of weirdness aside, that we got like pretty like Duralum. Like I think again, still like when Naruto goes to talk to Temujin here, I think it is like kind of fun. It says that this guy is like, oh yeah, Naruto. Like I see that you have this power and everything. You should come with me. You should work with me. Like the grand ambition I'm supporting, right? Like he's just this very like like you get this kind of sense like hey here's this like serious, like very, very like straight like serious kid who's like a little bit over his head, right? I think it is like kind of funny. He's like, oh shit, like maybe you could help like the fucking beautiful dream I'm trying to like envision on this earth, right? Like, um, in this moment at least, like this is like a scene where yeah, like I think that like this is a. These are like fun character beats still. I'm like still enjoying like the new guys they made up for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like Shikamaru like sends Sakura off to go do like fucking whatever else, and like goes to like sneak around the big steampunk ship. And I think generally like the environmental stuff is here like it is like fun, right? Like I like just having like the ninja guy being like this big fucking like mess of machinery, and like here's the weird child tube room, right? Like I think it is like visually like kind of like a distinct space to be putting the characters in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like a little unclear about like some of the mechanics about the child tube room, but like
Yeah, like, is it like an Avatar situation?
yeah, I do not know, right? Because like
I think it's supposed to be like an Avatar situation.
mm-hmm.
I think they're like mentally like mind linked to one of the Mace guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, this seems to make sense, but also like fucking Temujin is like, oh yeah, the Mace guys are not my friends. My real friends already like trails off. Like this is like seem like slightly beyond what we were talking about here.
Uh-huh.
But like like he does not think of them as like the people who are stuck in the tubes. But also like later there's a scene where they like take a big hit and you see the like souls of the guys drifting out, and just like unclear like how like are they hurt by this, or are they just like
Yeah, like, do they just wake up in the tube after that, or
like did they make like a new like lump guy?
or is it more of like a die in the game, you die in real life situation?
Right, yeah.
Like the world's like fucking worst isekai.
Reincarnated in the same world as a fucking lump knight.
Reincarnated in the same room as a lump knight. I mean, is that all there's really to say about this
Yeah.
this part? You ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Night Guy left, but so did the ferret. So the caravan elder guy has Naruto run after them. When he catches up, Night Guy introduces himself as Temujin and takes Naruto to go meet his boss, a sort of pope named Haido. He talks to Naruto about building a utopia and explains their homeland as a sort of medieval fantasy steampunk place with lots of wars. He asks Naruto to join them, but Naruto refuses, wanting to stick around the leaf so he can be Hokage and save Sasuke and stuff. Haido learns about the caravan where the ferret is from and starts acting weird about it. Then they learn about the boat by Gaara's house that got Gaara'd. Temujin and Naruto run off to go check it out. They find the broken boat's broken child tube room, and Naruto stops trusting this guy immediately. Then Kankuro shows up and explains to Naruto that the boat was fucking up the sand. Two night ladies and Gaara show up, and there's a big fight where Kankuro gets in weird illusion by a vampire girl, and Gaara fucks up an electric lady Frankenstein.
Okay. So I think that the problems of this movie, to me, start to become really apparent when, like, Temujin takes Naruto to meet Haido, because you see this guy and you're like, this is the most suspicious man in the world. This is the villain of this movie. He is not very cool or compelling. Like, they do not fucking have it with this guy.
Like, yeah, right. Like, Temujin, like, literally might as well have gone up to Naruto and be like, "Hey, let's go meet my boss." And he was just like a cackling evil wizard shooting lasers out of skulls.
Right. Temujin's like, Naruto, you have to like show your like, you have to like show your power to my boss, and he like immediately starts attacking him with the sword rather than like asking Naruto how you might like demonstrate it to his boss, because he's like kind of like a maladjusted weirdo. And this is like kind of a fun beat for Temujin, but then like Haido walks up, he's like, you should not fight. Fighting is bad, and it's like,
it's like fucking okay,
right? Like I just feel like if you are going to have your like villain guy who is like, he professes these like grand ideals, but he does not really believe in them or whatever, right? And like, he's been like misleading and using like this fucking night boy. I think when he shows up on screen, the first thing he says should not be something he already like demonstrably does not believe.
Yeah.
Like there's no like room to be like have any fucking like questions or doubts about this guy or like because he is just like immediately the fucking like lying through his teeth about what his like goals and like motivations are, right? There's like plausible deniability about his like utopia shit being genuine, right? But also like the things he professes are like fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like he has no like actual like vision that's like presented to the characters. He's like, he was like, it would be really great if there was not any war, everybody was happy, and then that is like the full extent of like any ideology he presents. Like,
Yeah, right. Like, it would be cool if there were no wars. That's why we're driving around in this boat, making sure there's no war. Like, okay.
be cool if there was no wars. That was like I think violence is bad. That is why I have showed up in this part of the world and just like had my knights like start beating people up on the off chance they might know something about a rock somewhere. This is like that is the thing that we know he has done already in the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's no question of him being like, oh, a guy who is like being like overly pragmatic or like harsh in the pursuit of his dream. He's just a guy who believes something like extremely like paper thin and like.
Okay, but like, I don't think he actually believes it though. We're like that.
Right. Like he like presents like an idea of like something extremely paper thin, right? Like that is more accurate. Like, 'cause no, he's not fucking believe. But like the fact that like people are like being taken in by this when he is saying fucking nothing is like so like.
Yeah. I mean, okay. To be fair, I'm pretty sure it's only Temujin.
Well, no, it is not only Temujin because all of those fucking people are getting into the paws of their own volition to become like lump knights to fight for him because of his grand vision of like, I think it would be cool if people were nice to each other, and now do anything I say in pursuit of the like vaguely outlined fucking.
Also, to be fair, they were indoctrinated as children.
Yeah, I guess.
I think the night ladies know what they're doing, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. But like you know, like even with like things like, oh yeah, like these people were indoctrinated as children. There's just not enough like here to like there's no like convincing facade. There's no like.
Yeah, there's no one. Yeah. Right, like it's just not good.
He like he starts off at like a solid. This guy is fucking boring to me, and like you know.
That's not where you want your guy to be.
No. Like a guy who is like even if it was possible for anybody watching this movie to be genuine, to believe he was genuine, he would not be interesting if he was genuine. And like the way that he is like fake are also not interesting.
Yeah.
But Naruto declines to join him, and he's like, "Yeah, I have to go be the Hokage." And fucking Haido's like, "Okay, well, you should promise me that like you go be the best Hokage you can be, and I'll go be the best evil Pope I can be, and then we can work together to make the world good." And Naruto's like, "That sounds great, man." And then, but then he hears about some shit that was going on, and he has to like run off to investigate it. You know, Naruto runs off to the like the land of wind to see where the like. To see where like the fucked up ship is. He like runs into it, like he sees the fucking like wreckage of the tubes where there's like fucking dead children lying around and like amidst like shattered glass, right? And,
yeah.
And Naruto is like, hey Temujin, I thought these guys are like supposed to be your friends or whatever. And Temujin's like, no, it is okay, they wanted to do that. They like this actually. Which is just like it is this level of like laying bare the like I just feel like once you get to like child corpses.
Yeah, once you had child corpses, it's just like, okay.
Like that, it is so weird. Like this, like fucking like the arc of like Temujin's like disillusionment with his like boss is like the like point A is like dead children that he used to know.
Yeah.
Like just fucking like lying around discarded like fucking debris in the ruins of this like fucked up battleship. Like
right, and it's like it's not even that he sees that and is horrified and expects his boss to be horrified about it too. He's just like, no, that's okay actually.
Yeah, they wanted this to happen. They like this. This is enrichment.
Right.
Right, because this is like point A, this like disillusionment. This is like point of him being like, "Oh, I am fine with this," which is like if this is where we are starting, then like it just swings too far in this direction, right? Like it is just
Like at the very least, he should think that fucking Haido is a cool guy, right? If they were just keeping it away from like him specifically, how like fucked up a lot of the stuff that was going on right? Like that would be anything.
But then instead he is just like fucking like totally fine with like the most obvious like this is fucked up imagery that the movie could like possibly put in his path. And like Naruto's like yelling at him more. Fucking Kankuro like swings in to like try and like slice him up with a puppet. But he throws it off. Naruto's like, "Hey Kankuro, fuck off. I'm gonna beat up this guy." Kankuro's like, "That's not how this works. Stop being stupid."
Yeah, but luckily he's not the only enemy. And also Gaara is here.
Yeah, to the night girls show up so everybody can like break off into their fights. You know, Naruto can kind of like aimlessly yell with Temujin off in the corner somewhere while like Kankuro gets up to his shit where he like fights like a like I guess it is like he thinks it is genjutsu, but like it's actually not genjutsu because they do not like know what like chakra ninjutsu over there is, and like it seems to work differently because he can like substitute his like puppet in for him in the illusion, right? But he does get sent to like a fucking like I do love that like the fucking like night lady's like illusion technique is being like, "Oh yeah, you're going to hell for like, you know, getting in the way of her beautiful vision, and everybody like fucking hates you for wanting to stop, everybody in hell hates you for wanting to stop us from like conquering the world. You fucking asshole." I think a lot of the like visuals of like the fucking like Kankuro hell vision are like fun stuff, you know. Like the colors get weird. I like that she keeps like putting her face all staticky like in front of him, like all staticky and big in front of him to like try to freak him out.
Yeah.
But I think the real like star of the sequence, like the real highlight of the sequence is like fucking is like Gaara's fight here, where he's fighting like the electric lady. Just like a lot of like the most fun animation in like the movie is here. I feel like. Like, you know, there's just like room for a lot of like cool like effects work, right? You know, you've got like Gaara like trying to like build those like sand shields that are like really like, you know, on like a movie production scale. So like they're just, you know, they drew the hell out of all that sand, and like they also drew the hell out of that lightning that was like bouncing off of it, and like just like fucking,
yeah,
you know, like casting was probably like there's like some really great like effects work from like Hirofumi Masuda here, who's like an animator who like, you know, like. Judging by like his credit, seems like a fairly like, you know, this is like a proficient like freelance guy who shows up on a lot of stuff, you know, like not just movies, but like, you know, very like television and like big OVAs and like, you know, also movie like he's like pretty consistently around for a lot of the Naruto movies. Like he was around in the last one, but like he did not have like a scene as like you know, exciting to be as this like big like fucking lightning and sand clash here, which has a lot of like fun stuff in there. You have like you have like Masaki Endo's scene here. Masaki Endo is an animator who's like on the previous movie. He did like a lot of the action, like the part where like, you know, the like Naruto and friends like first encounter the big villains of the movie. Like he here just like some really like sick stuff for like, you know, the lightning girl like fucking like renders a lot of like Gaara's like sand seal to kind of like stiff and brittle enough for, like a big lightning blast to, like just fucking do a bunch of flips and like slam down through it, and like Gaara tries to like sand burial her, but it's getting all like fucked up and like exploded by the lightning. Pretty sick. We have another scene by Takeshi Honda, who like did my favorite scene in that first movie. Like that one scene in the bar where like everything just like moves fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, which has like maybe my favorite cut in this movie, where like you know, the girl's like starting to go like monster mode, and like half her face is kind of like fucked up, and she like turns away to like have just the like her like normal half of her face like facing the camera, and then they just fucking like twist and like face like stretches with it like across the frame to like snap back until she has like a full monster face. I'm explaining it poorly, but it is so fucking sick.
Yeah. It looks great.
Yeah. And just like in general, like it is fun to like, you know, have like ninjas doing this like big explosive fight in like this like, you know, industrial looking wreckage, right? Like it just looks cool. And like obviously I love to see Gaara doing cool shit, so like hey, that works pretty good for me.
Yeah.
And all of that, eventually Gaara fucking like squishes the girl, the like vampire girl like fucking flies off. She gets away. Kakuro's kind of pissed, but like, you know. When I sat down to watch this, like, you know, for this podcast, I was like, okay, I've seen this movie before. I remember it being like pretty boring, and like, you know, up until this point, like the cracks were starting to show, but I was having like a pretty good time. And like I got to the end of the like Gaara fight here, and I was like, oh no, wait. I have seen like all of the like almost all of the big animation bits I remember liking from this movie. I've seen like all of the things that I can remember thinking were fun. We have 50 minutes of movie left.
Yep. Woohoo!
Yoo-hoo!
All right. Well, you ready to press on? You ready to experience those next 15 minutes of movie?
What other choice do we have?
Shikamaru intercepts a wolf girl fucking up the caravan. She does Hallies to break out of the shadow possession and runs off. Shikamaru asks the caravan guy about the Stone of Gelel, some shit the night people were talking about. The guy doesn't answer but begs for their help when he hears them worrying about Naruto. Temujin gets word that the caravan knew about the stone and feels like a dumbass about it, so he goes to check it out and gets grabbed by Shikamaru and interrogated by Naruto and the gang. The caravan guy says they're playing with something too dangerous to handle, but Temujin is devoted to his cause. Caravan guy explains that only the royal family of their destroyed homeland can take the stones into their body and use them, and goes into the history of the stone, emphasizing that it is bad news and not to be fucked around with. Temujin is convinced Haido will use it right, though, and wants to fight for that cause. He takes the old man and a kid hostage to find the mines. The gang use the ferret to follow them, and everyone convenes at the place or whatever.
So yeah, like, I guess like in spite of the length of this like section of the summary, like I have a ton of individual points I want to like touch on, right? Like, I mean, a lot of the events of this part of the movie are just covered by the part where you said the things that happen in this movie. Like, you know, we get like a little bit more of like the exact thing that like when I was like taking measures, like, oh, I hope we do not get more like Temujin flashback stuff. We then get more, and it's like, again, it like adds like basically nothing, right? Like, it is just like, again, like we get no greater sense of like the shape of the idea that was like sold to him, right? Like, we like,
no way.
We get like you know, we get like one of the kids about to go into the fucking tube and be like, wow, this is the best thing I can do, so I'm going to go into the tube now to like fucking I guess like justify his belief that like going into a tube forever is good to like control a fucking like lumpenite that goes around and attacks people for various often vaguely defined reasons.
I'm gonna give it my whole life to become a lumpenite jobber. Bye.
Right, like
this is good. This is good to do.
This is good. It's just like, you know, we get like the people gesturing to like, oh yeah, Temujin, you're like so special and strong because you can put a rock in you that makes you like extra powerful, and he is like, you know, about to be given reason to like think more about like how maybe there's reasons that he's extra strong and powerful and special or whatever, right? It is all just like it is this flashback scene that is basically just like, it feels like wholly redundant.
Yeah.
You know, he goes back to the caravan. You know, he gets captured by Shikamaru, and they have him like tied up and interrogated. And like Kahiko, the caravan guy, like, you know, does a bunch of explaining about like the royal family and like the fucking, you know, the fucking like the magical stones and stuff, right? Like we get like you know, as Kahiko is like going into like this whole thing about like, yeah, you know, we used to be this like super like prosperous like civilization thanks to the power of the Stone of Gelel, right? Like, but then we were like eventually like driven by that power to like war, and like we like led ourselves to our own collapse. We get this like kind of like tapestry style illustrations of like, I feel like we have to talk about the specific imagery that's being called upon here, right?
Yeah, so just to lay it out there, this movie is about some fantasy European knights that are like descended from fucking like an ancient kingdom of like Mesoamerican people, right? Like, it's weird. It's weird.
Right. Yeah. Like, and like, there's definitely a sense of like, oh, you see all of the people, and like, again, like drawing heavily from like, you know, like in all of these like images, like drawing heavily from like Mesoamerican, like, you know, visuals and stuff. Like, you see like all of these people who have like skin tones that nobody in this fucking movie does. You have this like, I don't know, like I think it is like like, regardless of like how much thought was put into this, I think it is like a very loaded thing to suggest that like you're like be pulling from that imagery and then like talk about like a civilization that fell apart all on its own with no external factors.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, it just is not really the vibes you want.
And then also have their like direct successors white people.
Right?
Is
Yeah.
really really good. It's really good for them to do, huh?
Their fucking blonde-haired special like royal boy that they have all their hopes resting on to like
Cool.
destroy like the last remnants of their country. Like I feel like there's so much like just like aesthetic mishmash in this movie that I feel like I feel like it would be straining to like suggest like a specific like any specific malice here, right? Like it's just like kind of thoughtless and like does not look good if you think about it.
Yeah.
Not good. But anyway, Temujin is like not really convinced by any of this. He's like, yeah, I basically just need to see the evil Pope say that he is evil to me to be convinced to do anything different. So I'm gonna go kidnap this old man and a child and run off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he needs to like set up the impetus for the final act where everybody goes to like the same place to like meet up and do their fights and everything. And
Yeah.
I guess we can basically move on to that next section if you're ready.
Yep. Shikamaru stops Hido and asks what the fuck he's up to with the rocks, but he's just kind of on his horseshit utopia stuff. Naruto thinks he's a bitch, and the caravan guy takes Temujin down the mine with an elevator to destroy the stone. Hido goes after them and leaves the two night women to stop the kids, but Shikamaru and Sakura hold them off, for Naruto to go on ahead. Sakura takes on the wolf girl and gets her with a big resonating wind charm situation. And Shikamaru gets the vampire girl with a web of fake paper bombs and some help from Kankuro to catch her in his puppet and cut her up. The caravan guy gets some Temujin blood and to activate a big ritual that destroys the mine, but gets stopped when Hido shows up with the Stone of Gelel that shoots blasts. The caravan guy accuses him of destroying Temujin's village to get the Stone of Gelel, and Temujin finally realizes that he was a bad pope and stops him from blasting the old man. Naruto shows up, and Hido confesses to killing Temujin's parents, and then transforms into a kind of explosion Dracula and yanks a power crystal out of Temujin's chest.
Right. So yeah, everybody's down in like the big zone where they're going to have the final fight. They're down in the fucking tunnels or whatever. Shikamaru like grabs fucking Hido with his like shadow possession to like be like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Like Hido, of course, says fucking nothing of note. The only thing I really want to like touch on in this specific exchange is I think it's very funny that like when Naruto's getting mad at them, he's like, "Hey kid, but you promised that you're gonna become like a Hokage, and you're gonna help me out." And Naruto's like, "Well, you're doing only things that suck, so I'm not going to do that." And you're like, "Okay, well, fuck. I guess that was worth a shot." Hido basically only knows how to work with the most gullible children in the universe.
Yeah.
Kahiko grabs Temujin to get on the elevator. They fucking like shoot down into the earth and it like closes up behind them. Naruto's like going to like try like to talk to Hido, and Hido just fucking like punches him into a wall and like punches down to the ground to like jump down a fucking hole. You know, meanwhile everybody else is kind of like squaring up for like, okay, we have like two guys we know from the main cast of Naruto and like two evil ladies still, so they're kind of like, you know, we all know how these movies work.
Yeah.
Kahiko and Temujin like arrive down in like the big like CG room where the like climax of the movie is going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look very good. I feel like I don't know, like it's weird, right? Because like previously, like I have talked about like how like when we talk about like the Rock Lee and Gaara fight, there's the Toshiki there episode there that has like the CG room, and like that is like like the CG in that room is like immediately dated, right? Like there's a lot of like it is not like particularly pretty, but like
Yeah.
but it is like generally used to create like a clear like sense of like this is the layout of the space. This is like how people are like moving around it. Like right like it is used consistently to like you immediately have a sense of like what this like location is and like how it is like shaped, right? And like
Yeah. This room's like a big weird dome with like the floors all move.
yeah, and there is like a bunch of like fucking like arches and shit, and like all this like weird wavy detailing on the floor, and like there is like no sense of like
Right, like it is like a too complex thing to get like a good sense of like grounding in the first place. So it's just like, okay, but like, what if they just drew it and it didn't matter instead of having the
Right.
like big ugly 3D room?
Like yeah, right, and like occasionally you get scenes where like the camera moves in like a kind of dynamic way, but like also a lot of times you get scenes where like they are trying to like push like an angle that like does not quite work with the like CG they have here. And like so you have like this like scenes where like the scale seems like kind of fucked up, or like the characters like moving in like a kind of weird way across the scene. It does not really match the like CG environment, and like it is just like in terms of like the fidelity of the CG here, like I guess I can tell that it is like 2 years since that like Rock Lee and Gara episode, but in terms of how it is used, it just feels like a step back in a lot of ways, right? Like it just feels like there's like so much like less consideration to like what this was for and like what I don't know, like what they needed to do to like make it work. The other thing of the scene where like it is just like Temujin and Kahiko in here is like they walk up to like this big like we see all of the like various like images from like the exposition scene earlier, but there was also like one that is like a big black rectangle,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like I was like I I felt like I was like fundamentally missing something in this scene where like Haki was talking like very seriously like, this is like an image of despair. It is like it is depicting like the like the terrible things that like the power of Galel will like bring upon the world if it is not like destroyed or whatever. And there is just it is just like a blank black rectangle. It's like, was there like a rendering error when they made this big CG room? Like what happened here? Like they like circle back around to it. There's just like some other shit that is like they're having like this big interpretive debate about like the absence of imagery in a way that I was like,
Like, are you okay?
like not to be like like
Uh-huh. No, I get it. I get it.
it just made me feel like I was like missing a step when characters like, oh yeah, this is like the terrible devastation. It was like, actually this like depicts like what the power does not have to be what you think it does. And it is like it is it is just like a weird beat that is like used to set up like a different weird beat later. And
Yeah.
anyway, we cut back up out of this room. Sakura and Shikamaru are up to their shit. Sakura again like gets like a pretty like a pretty tight looking fight with a bunch of like sick looking shit in it. She is like fighting the werewolf girl. She is there's a
Like, lucky there's an anti-werewolf girl chamber.
right, but like like the thing is that like everything leading up to that is like there's a lot of like extremely sick like Shinji Hashimoto animation where she has all of these with all these like really like loose like flailing limbs and like crazy fabric animations. Like Sakura's just like fucking like scrambling around trying to avoid getting like wolf howl blasted to death. That just looks like fucking cool, right? Like it's like again like maybe the coolest action cut in this movie, right? Like or I can see in this movie is just like just because like how like fucking like stylistic and distinct it is, and like and like that then she like fucking gets her with the anti-wolf girl like fucking like chimes drop, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
it like it works well enough. Meanwhile like Shikamaru is like fighting the Bat Girl and she's like, haha idiot, I can fly, can't get my shadow now. And Shikamaru just fucking like throws a bunch of like ropes with like paper bomb tags on them.
Mm-hmm.
And like fucking like strategically leaves an opening for like Conqueror to like let the girl like fly back into fucking into his puppet and get like fucking sliced up and never come out.
It's so good. It's so good because like the puppet closes up and you see like the wingtips sticking out.
Yeah.
Sticking out still. And then it's like and they go limp and it's like it's so good.
Yeah. It's just like like it's like a pretty cool like Shikamaru moment where like he like sees Conqueror from across the room and he's like, oh okay, all right, I'm just gonna like set something up and hope this guy is like following up with me, and like there's just like a fun beat afterwards where like Kakuro is like, hey, are we gonna be good with all those bombs you put everywhere in the room? He's like, oh, don't worry, those are all fake.
Yeah, really good.
Where the fuck is this Shikamaru anyway? Like what the hell?
Where the fuck is this guy? He's so cool. Like this, like at the very least, this movie understands what's like cool and appealing about Shikamaru.
Yeah, for sure.
They even got that he's gay.
Yeah, we go back down to like the like chamber below where like Naruto and Haido and fucking Temujin and Kayako are all there now, right? And Haido fucking sucks and is boring.
Yeah.
Right? Like he like so much of his
Like everything he says is just like obviously I'm the most evilest guy in the room. He. I'm gonna talk about peace though. Haha.
yeah. And then like he has
Haha.
this fucking like turn where like fucking like Kaigo goes like, yeah, you totally attacked Temujin's village and like kill him to take that fucking book and that rock. And like he like denies it for a little bit. Then he was like, "Actually, I did do that, and it was like cool and good for me to kill your family, Temujin. Don't you agree?" It's just like, he's like, yeah, I fucking love being like an evil piece of shit who sucks, right? Like he just goes from like a fucking like guy who is like presenting like facetiously this fucking child's understanding of like what a good thing to do would be to being like a fucking child's understanding of like what a fucking evil fucked up guy would be, right? Like he's just
Right.
he just does not really have a lot going on, and he spends so much time talking about how he's like an evil fucked up guy here. God, the thing I kind of can't believe I did not pick up on
Uh-huh.
in this movie is like, okay, so like you know how his like three like night lady henchmen are like they've got like they're like a Dracula, Frankenstein, and a werewolf.
Uh-huh.
I did not realize there was supposed to be like a like there's supposed to be like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing going on.
Oh, is that the
Even
case?
yeah, even though he was right until I was like looking at the like soundtrack stuff and I realized his like fucking like evil Pope church organs theme was called Mr. Hyde. And I was like, oh, oh, that is the okay. He, you know, like it does not really like complicate him in an interesting way, but like
I like Explosion Dracula more.
explosion Dracula. Yeah, I do not know if in that in Doctor Jekyll and Mr. Hyde he becomes an explosion Dracula. I sort of imagine he does not, but you can continue calling him an explosion Dracula for sure.
Okay.
I guess this is like I mentioned the soundtrack briefly. This is like one thing I like do like about the movie is that like I think the soundtrack is really fun. It is you know like like it is Toshio Masuda who like does like the main show's soundtrack, but I feel like he like winds up like really like diverging in like tone. Like there's a bunch of like pieces in this that like feel like really of a piece with like the JRPGs of the era, like kind of in keeping with a sort of like you know vaguely steampunky like night shit that is going on. I think it is like just fun to see him like bring like such a different character to like the music here. Like occasionally there are bits where like some of like the more classic like Naruto like motifs like blend into that. I think it's like some really fun stuff. You know, the movie is not great, but like you know, some of that music is pretty good.
Oh my god. And like in like the night culture and like their different like their different like chakra traditions,
Mm-hmm.
they can still have people with like fucking oh my god, the word just escapes me. The ones that you're born with, the bloodline techniques.
The Genkai.
Yeah. There can still be Kekai Genkai, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
even still like eyeball ones, but they call it the evil eye.
Yeah.
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 Sorry.
God, no. Like, sorry. Like, that's fine. Like, I'm thinking about this again now too, and I'm thinking about like how weird is just established into the whole fucking wider world of people who are just like complete fucking sitting ducks if like anybody in the ninja world decides to like expand out that direction.
Right. Like
Like these people have like the fucking like the like super special like fucking like Gelel magic shit, and they're still getting like chumped out because like they do not know what like a substitution jutsu is.
yeah. Right. And like we are to believe that these like steampunk fucking like Galel having fucking tube ogres were like just stomping everybody they came across until they got here, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the impression I get.
Right, because like if you are going after like regular fantasy like men at arms, the big fucking tube ogres are gonna fucking wreck house.
Yeah, they're very good at like shrugging off like a sword hitting them.
Yeah. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to move on, wrap this stuff up?
Yeah, let's get this fucking over with.
Okay.
Naruto gets his ass kicked by Explosion Dracula while Temujin struggles to get back onto his feet. Explosion Dracula shrugs off a Rasengan, so Naruto tells Temujin to give him a hand. Temujin grabs the crystal that was in the ferret's mouth and uses it to clear the way and also help Naruto make a special Gelel-infused Rasengan that explodes Explosion Dracula. The mine is crumbling now, and probably it will explode. But also, there is a big magic circle that will create a black hole that will suck up the mine and save everyone but the one who activates the circle. Temujin stays behind to activate the circle, but Naruto saves him anyway. And the mine's gone now. With all the bad steampunk people dead now, Temujin takes the big ship with all the X-Tube children to go and help people or whatever.
Yeah. So, Naruto is trying to fight Haido, right? He is like, we have like our big, like Norio Matsumoto action scene. There are like a few other scenes he has in here that are like a little, like a little less fight focused. But like, this one, like, it's like, fundamentally it's cool to see Norio Matsumoto drawing Naruto characters. I feel like this one winds up like evoking a lot of like other Norio Matsumoto Naruto scenes, like to its detriment. Just in the sense of like, like the way this fight is like set up is like it is not nearly so inventive or like particular about like the way all the clones are used as like, an Atsushi Wakabayashi episode. It does not have the like CG camera work we got like in the fucking Naruto and Gaara fight that like really like fucking like justifies the usage of like having this big like CG environment. It looks cool, but like I feel like it winds up kind of like falling short of a lot of Norio Matsumoto's work on like the like TV series where he's like collaborating with people who are like, a lot more directly like invested in like the source material, right? Like I also like I think a definite sign of like how fucking checked out I was at this point is like when we go like in the middle of the Norio Matsumoto scene from like Naruto, he's like trying to fight this guy and we like cut over to Temujin being like sad and being like, oh no, was that guy actually mean to me the whole time? What do? I was like, can we fucking not do this right now? Can you just play some, can you stop playing this fucking sad music? Can you play some fucking cool pump up tunes and like let me watch Naruto attack this guy some more? I don't fucking give a shit.
Yeah, literally.
just not like a place you like, not a reaction you want to inspire from your movie necessarily, and what is like I guess maybe like the emotional like climax of it, right? Just it gets hard to care at a certain point in here, like I feel like that is reflected in the way our discussion has gone and the way here like summaries are written. It just like
it's just fucking enough, right? Like
it's just enough, right? Like, and Temujin eventually gets up. They do the special Rasengan together. It's just like not really like all that cool. There's like so many like kind of like awkward, stiff looking cuts of like Naruto and Temujin like running across the room, like setting up the special Rasengan together, where like the camera is like so like cut in, so like we do not have like a sense of like how they are moving through the like very like restrictively defined like environment that they are in. And then Naruto like jumps up and he fucking hits him with the Rasengan, and then he explodes and then he dies. And I look at the like how much time is left in the movie, and I like feel despair. There are like 10 more minutes somehow.
Yeah,
10 more minutes, and nobody's even gonna do like a cool fight or anything.
Literally.
When Haido is defeated, he like goes back and he like slams into like some like device that like previously like rose up out of like fucking clipped through the floor and like rose up out of the ground, and it like fucking shatters and like all the pieces just kind of like vaguely drift off into the corners of the screen because there's just not like a great sense of what to do with the fucking like CG here, and then like it like makes the fucking like big like vein of Gelel go like about to explode. So Temujin needs to like fucking walk into the center and like fucking go into like a big like portal or whatever to make it so that like the world doesn't explode. And he has to fucking like bravely walk off and like knock Naruto out. So he does this alone, but then Naruto like saves him, and it's like okay, I like I don't know. Like, I feel like I should have something to say about this because this is the fucking climax of the movie. But like
no, like he like literally he goes on to sacrifice himself, but he's okay actually, and the movie's over.
Yeah. Naruto like has like a vision of seeing fucking Sasuke for like to like no real end.
Yeah, God. Okay, like I was watching this for the first time, like in call with Maria. Like Maria wasn't also watching it. I was just like, we were just kind of doing our own thing. It's parallel play, wife stuff. Um, and just like I burst out in the middle of watching it, like, why is Sasuke here?
Yeah. Because it's just not I guess then it's just like, oh, right, like fucking Temujin is like the fake Sasuke of this movie, and like Naruto like remembers Sasuke, and he's like, oh, I do not want my like new friend that I'm never going to speak to again to like go the same way that Sasuke does. I do not want him to like leave forever by dying. I want him to like leave forever by like fucking off out of the movie and like going back to like his homeland.
Yeah.
He is like he is like departing on his like big shit back to his home, and like fucking everybody's talking about like, yeah, he is going back to his like war-torn home to like try and make there stop being any wars over there with his like bunch of like children who are in tubes. And everyone's like, well, that is just the life he has to live now. And it feels like a really vague place to leave this character in. Like, it feels like probably he is just going to go and get killed somewhere, probably.
Yeah. That's fine.
Because, like, he has not at any point, like, developed a vision of what that looks like under fucking, like, Heido's tutelage, because that is just, like, a whole thing of, I mean, we talked about that guy, right? There's no, like... I do not know what I'm supposed to, like, expect that this guy is going to go off and do.
No idea.
But we never have to worry about it again, so...
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
If he goes and dies futilely with a bunch of other children, then, like, we won't have to see it. Naruto is bravely waving him off as he goes, and the movie's over, and we can fucking go home. I wish they did, like, could at least go with a bang, like, doing fucking global warming on purpose again.
If only we could be so lucky.
Yeah, I think that is it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the podcast.
That's the podcast. That was the movie.
Yep. What are we watching next week?
So yeah, next week, because of like the like slightly awkward like length of next week, because like the length of like this whole like anime original section like does not quite line up with the the doing 3 episodes a week thing. We are going to be covering like 2 episodes, and then the week after that we're going to be covering another 2 episodes, and that's going to like get us through like a specific 4-episode arc. Like, we are going to stop worrying about like making the arcs line up, because like that is just too much effort at a certain point. Like, sometimes you just want to keep doing 3 episodes a week and let that be the rhythm, but like, just to make sure we don't like have to like just to make sure we like have that sorted out, we can just like ride through until like the end of like this first stretch of like the original run of Naruto. I think that's how we're gonna do it. Just because like this also like coincided with like a time where I was like, I would not mind having like a slightly lighter workload for the podcast for the next few days or the next few weeks. So like that, yeah. Did I actually say what the number of the episodes at all, or
no, you didn't?
Okay, so next week we are watching episodes 148 and 149 of Naruto.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can't wait, you can check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/Konoha Crush. All one word, Konoha Crush. There, for just $3 a month, you get access to episodes up to a week early, and for $5, you get access to our bonus show, Narukai Uzumaki, where we cover like isekai and isekai adjacent stuff. This upcoming episode is going to be about Grimgar, so look forward to that. While we're still on the Patreon, I want to offer a very special thanks to our Joining Tier patrons, Izzy, Maple, the only ninja with a gun, and friend of the show, Rife. Check out their streams at twitch.tv/subspaceskater. All one word, subspace, skater. We have a Twitter where any images we talk about during the show can be seen. That is twitter.com/subspaceskater.
No, it is not.
No, it is not. That is twitter.com/Konoha Crush. All one word, Konoha Crush. Sorry, I've been smoking a little bit today. We have a Tumblr now too, KonohaCrushcast.tumblr.com. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/GuinevereTeef.
Yeah, and I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/verdictvelvet.
Yeah. And we each play our games. We hang out on each other's streams a lot. If you like the dynamic between us, you should check out both of our Twitch channels because obviously we're around for each other's shit like basically all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I think that basically covers everything.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, there is no such thing as filler.